In the last episode, Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion had just regrouped after a series of trials, determined to reboot Aethereia's harmonics. Dr. Orion's revelations about subterranean ley lines had sparked a renewed sense of purpose, and Alex was now ready to take a bold step forward. As I stood at the entrance of the tunnel, the weight of our quest settled heavy on my shoulders. Elara's hand on my arm was a gentle reminder that I wasn't alone in this. The darkness seemed to swallow us whole, the only sound the soft hum of our suit's life support systems. Dr. Orion's voice was low and urgent, her words barely audible over the comm system. "We need to move quickly, Alex. The ley line's power is fluctuating wildly. If we don't harness it soon, the resonance could become unstable, threatening to destroy the very fabric of Aethereia." I nodded, though I knew she couldn't see me. My heart pounded in my chest as I led the way into the unknown. The tunnels were treacherous, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. Elara's grip on my arm tightened. "Wait, Alex, do you hear that?" I cocked my head, and then I heard it too, the faint hum of machinery, echoing through the tunnel like a ghostly whisper. Dr. Orion's voice was a whispered warning. "Alex, I think we're not alone down here." My senses went on high alert. I motioned to Elara, and we fanned out, our suit's built-in lights casting eerie shadows on the walls. The hum grew louder, and I could feel the air vibrating with energy. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was one of the Puppeteer's minions, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. My hand instinctively went to the knife at my belt. Elara drew her pistol, her eyes locked on the minion. Dr. Orion's voice was calm but urgent. "Alex, we need to disable it, not kill. We need to know what it's doing here." I nodded, a plan forming in my mind. I took a step forward, my eyes locked on the minion. "We can try to reason with it." The minion lunged, its movements jerky and unnatural. I dodged, Elara's pistol firing a stunned shot that dropped the creature to the ground. As we approached it, I felt a shiver run down my spine. This was just the beginning. We had to move fast, to harness the ley line's power and track the resonant frequency to its source. But for now, we had to deal with this creature, and what it might tell us about the Puppeteer's plans. Dr. Orion knelt beside the minion, her eyes scanning its suit. "This one's been upgraded with some kind of advanced tech. I think I can interface with its systems." Elara kept watch, her pistol trained on the tunnel entrance. "We don't have much time. More minions could show up any moment." I stood over the minion, my mind racing. What had driven it to this point? What secrets lay hidden behind those glowing eyes? The questions swirled, but I had no answers. Not yet. Dr. Orion's voice broke the silence. "Alex, I think I've got something. This minion was sent to intercept us. The Puppeteer's trying to stop us from reaching the ley lines." The news sent a chill down my spine. We were on the right track, and we had to keep moving. I looked at Elara, at Dr. Orion. We shared a moment of determination. We would not be stopped. We would see this through, no matter what lay ahead. The darkness seemed to close in around us, but I felt a spark of hope. We were in this together, and together we would find a way to reboot Aethereia's harmonics, to shatter the Puppeteer's grip on our world. The minion's eyes flickered, and for an instant I saw something there, a glimmer of humanity. It was enough to make me wonder, what had happened to the person behind the upgrade? The thought haunted me as we stood there, poised on the cusp of rebirth, our hearts filled with a sense of purpose, and our spirits renewed, ready to face the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. Previously, Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion into the perilous tunnels, determined to harness the power of subterranean ley lines to reboot Aethereia's harmonics. But they were confronted by a dark legacy of the Puppeteer's influence, as the sinister upgrade of a minion hinted at a deeper, more personal connection to the forces of control. As I stood over the motionless minion, a spark of compassion ignited, and I reached out to touch its mask, the gesture almost reflexive. The flicker of recognition in those artificial eyes haunted me still. What had driven it to this point? What secrets lay hidden behind that cold, emotionless facade? The darkness of the tunnel seemed to close in, but I felt a shiver of determination. I turned to Elara and Dr. Orion, my voice firm, resolute. We need to keep moving. We have to understand why the Puppeteer's minions are here and what they are trying to stop us from reaching. We can't let our emotions get in the way. Dr. Orion's eyes flashed with understanding as she began to scan the minion suit, searching for answers. Elara nodded, her grip on her pistol unwavering, ever vigilant for any sign of reinforcements. The silence hung heavy between us, thick with tension and questions, but I felt a sense of purpose, a spark that fueled my determination. We would uncover the truth, no matter what lay ahead. I took a deep breath, the weight of our quest settling heavy on my shoulders once more. "Let's move out," I ordered, my voice echoing through the tunnel, a declaration of defiance in the face of uncertainty. As we ventured deeper, the air thick with the scent of damp earth, the hum of machinery grew louder, echoing through the tunnel like a ghostly whisper. Dr. Orion's voice whispered caution, her words barely audible over the comm system. "Alex, picking up energy signatures ahead. It looks like we're approaching the source of the resonant frequency." Elara's grip on my arm tightened, a warning. "Be careful, we don't know what we're walking into." The tunnel opened up into a vast underground chamber, the ceiling disappearing into darkness. In the center of the room, a glowing crystal pulsed with energy, the source of the resonant frequency. But it was surrounded by a ring of Puppeteer's minions, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Dr. Orion's voice was urgent, her words barely audible over the comms system. "Alex, we have to act fast. The resonant frequency is becoming unstable. We need to harness the ley line's power now, or risk destroying the very fabric of Aethereia." The room fell silent, the only sound the hum of the machinery and the heavy breathing of the minions. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding in my chest. The fate of Aethereia hung in the balance, and I knew what I had to do previously. Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion ventured into the perilous underground, determined to harness the power of subterranean ley lines to reboot Aethereia's harmonics. But they were confronted by a dark legacy of the Puppeteer's influence, as the sinister upgrade of a minion hinted at a deeper, more personal connection to the forces of control. As I stood at the threshold of the vast underground chamber, the room fell silent, the only sound the hum of the machinery and the heavy breathing of the minions. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding in my chest. The fate of Aethereia hung in the balance, and I knew what I had to do. "Elara, I need you to take point," I whispered, my eyes locked on the glowing crystal. "Dr. Orion, can you interface with the machinery and hijack the energy signature?" Dr. Orion nodded, her eyes darting between the machinery and the minions. "I can try, but we need to be quick. The resonant frequency is destabilizing by the second." Without another word, Elara sprang into action, darting towards the ring of minions with her pistol blazing. The room erupted into chaos as Dr. Orion scrambled to interface with the machinery. I sprinted towards the glowing crystal, my heart pounding in my chest. As I reached out to touch it, a blinding light enveloped me and everything went white. When my vision returned, I found myself standing in a vast, desolate wasteland, the only sound the howling wind. I stumbled forward, my eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of Elara, and Dr. Orion were nowhere to be seen. "Elara, Dr. Orion," I shouted into the wind, but my voice was swallowed by the emptiness. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the dust storm, its features obscured by a hooded cloak. "You're too late," it hissed, its voice dripping with malevolence. "The Puppeteer's plan has come to fruition. Aethereia's harmonics are beyond repair." I drew my pistol, my finger tightening around the trigger. "Who are you?" I growled, my eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The figure stepped forward, revealing a twisted, grotesque mockery of humanity. "I am the product of the Puppeteer's twisted experiments," it spat. "And you, Alex, are the last obstacle standing in the way of a new world order." I raised my pistol, my heart pounding in my chest. "I'll never let that happen," I snarled, my finger tightening around the trigger. The wasteland fell silent, the only sound the heavy breathing of the twisted creature. I knew what I had to do. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding in my chest. The fate of Aethereia hung in the balance, and I knew what I had to do previously. Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion ventured into the perilous underground, determined to harness the power of subterranean ley lines to reboot Aethereia's harmonics. But we were confronted by a dark legacy of the Puppeteer's influence, as the sinister upgrade of a minion hinted at a deeper, more personal connection to the forces of control. As I stood face to face with the twisted creature, the product of the Puppeteer's twisted experiments, I felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins. The wasteland around us seemed to fade away, and all that mattered was the task at hand. I knew I had to neutralize this abomination and find my way back to Elara and Dr. Orion. With a calculated shot, I aimed at the creature's shoulder, striking it with precision. It howled in agony as I approached, its twisted form beginning to contort and writhe in agony. I seized the opportunity, swiftly interrogating the creature. "Where are Elara and Dr. Orion?" I demanded, my grip tightening around its throat. The twisted being's eyes gleamed with a perverse delight. "You'll never find them," it spat, its voice barely above a whisper. "The Puppeteer has taken them to the heart of Aethereia, where the resonant frequency is at its strongest." I tightened my grip, my focus. "What do you mean?" I growled. The creature's twisted form began to fade, its life force ebbing away. "You'll never reboot the harmonics. It's too late. The heart of Aethereia has been sealed, forever." With its final words, its body crumbled to dust, leaving me alone in the desolate wasteland. The silence was oppressive, the wind howling like a mournful wail. I scanned the horizon, my heart heavy with the weight of the creature's words. Suddenly, a faint signal caught my attention, a weak transmission from Dr. Orion's device. I homed in on the signal, my heart pounding with hope. I had to find Elara and Dr. Orion and unlock the secrets of the heart of Aethereia. With renewed determination, I set off across the wasteland, driven by the possibility of reuniting with them and salvaging the planet's last chance at rebirth. The journey was fraught with peril, but I pushed on, driven by the spark of hope that still flickered in my heart. As I trekked through the desolate landscape, the transmission grew stronger, guiding me towards the heart of Aethereia. I could feel the resonance of the planet's harmonics growing, beckoning me towards the mysterious location. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, I crested a dune, and the heart of Aethereia lay before me, a glowing, crystalline structure pulsed with an intense energy, a beacon calling me closer. I could sense the power emanating from it, the key to rebooting Aethereia's harmonics. But as I approached the heart, I was met with a daunting sight. Dr. Orion, held captive by the Puppeteer's minions, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Elara stood alongside her, her eyes locked on me, a fierce determination burning in her gaze. "Alex, it's over," Dr. Orion whispered, her eyes pleading for me to surrender. "The resonant frequency is too strong. We can't win." I took a deep breath, my heart heavy with the weight of their words, but I refused to give up. I knew that I had to find a way, no matter how impossible it seemed. The fate of Aethereia hung in the balance, and I was the only one left to tip the scales. With a fierce battle cry, I charged forward, my pistol blazing as I launched myself into the fray. Previously, Alex confronted a twisted minion in the underground, only to learn that the Puppeteer had taken Elara and Dr. Orion to the heart of Aethereia, where the resonant frequency was strongest. With a faint transmission from Dr. Orion's device guiding him, Alex navigated treacherous landscapes and finally reached the heart of Aethereia, where he was met with a daunting sight. His friends held captive by the Puppeteer's minions, with the resonant frequency too strong to overcome. As I charged forward, a hail of bullets whizzed past me, forcing me to take cover behind a nearby outcropping of rock. I peeked around the corner, my heart racing with concern for Elara and Dr. Orion. They were surrounded by an eerie halo of light, their eyes vacant as if under some sort of mind control. I knew I had to act fast. I surveyed the area, taking in the lay of the land. The heart of Aethereia pulsed with energy, drawing me in like a magnet. I spotted a gap between the rocks, barely large enough for me to squeeze through. It was a risk, but I had to try. I took a deep breath, mentally preparing myself for the unknown. I darted out from cover, sprinting towards the gap. Bullets zipped past me, and I felt the rush of adrenaline as I narrowly avoided getting hit. I dove through the gap, my heart pounding in my chest. As I emerged on the other side, I was confronted with an astonishing sight. The heart of Aethereia loomed before me, its crystalline structure radiating an intensity that made my skin tingle. I felt an ancient power coursing through my veins, a primal connection to the planet's very essence. And then I saw Elara. She stood at the edge of the heart, her eyes vacant, her movements mechanical. I knew she was under the Puppeteer's control. My heart ached with anguish as I realized I might lose her forever. With a fierce determination, I advanced towards Elara, my pistol blazing to drive back the minions. I knew I had to free her from the Puppeteer's grasp. The fate of Aethereia hung in the balance, and I was her last hope. As I drew closer, Elara's gaze flickered, a glimmer of recognition flashing in her eyes. It was all the encouragement I needed. With a final burst of strength, I launched myself at Elara, tackling her to the ground. The minions closed in, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light, but I refused to let go. I held Elara tight, my heart pounding with urgency. I knew I had to break the Puppeteer's hold on her to awaken the spark of resistance within her. And then, in an instant, Elara's eyes snapped back into focus. Her gaze locked onto mine, a fierce determination burning within. Together we wrestled free from the minions, our movements fluid and synchronized. The heart of Aethereia, sensing our determination, began to pulse with an even greater intensity. The resonant frequency surged, responding to our defiance. I knew that this was our chance to reboot Aethereia's harmonics, to shatter the Puppeteer's grip on the planet's collective consciousness. With Elara by my side, we stood before the heart, our hearts pounding in unison. We knew that the road to rebirth would be fraught with peril, but we were ready to face it head-on. For Aethereia, for our friends, and for our own future, we would not falter. Together, we reached out to the heart of Aethereia, our hands closing around its radiant crystal. The energy surged, and we felt the harmonics of the planet begin to shift, to realign. The resonance grew louder, a clarion call to the people of Aethereia. In that moment, I knew that our journey was far from over. But with Elara by my side, I felt an unshakable sense of hope, a beacon of light illuminating the path forward. We would face the challenges ahead together as one. For Aethereia, for ourselves, and for the future, we would prevail. Previously, Alex confronted the Puppeteer's minions and rescued Elara, breaking the mind control hold on her. United, they rebooted Aethereia's heart, shifting the planet's harmonics and igniting a beacon of hope. As we stood before the heart, our hands still clasped around its crystal, the energy coursing through us like lifeblood. I gazed into Elara's eyes, and for a moment we were the only two people in the universe. Our bond, forged in the fire of defiance, had become unbreakable. Suddenly, the heart's pulse accelerated as if sensing a new threat. I felt a presence lurking just beyond the edge of perception, watching us with cold calculation. The air seemed to vibrate with anticipation. I knew that we had to move to respond to the changing landscape. Elara, we need to get out of here. Now, I whispered, my eyes scanning the horizon. She nodded, her gaze never leaving mine. We released the heart, and the energy dissipated, leaving us feeling drained but exhilarated. We knew that our victory was only the beginning. As we stepped away from the heart, I sensed the presence drawing closer. I drew my pistol, my finger resting lightly on the trigger. The air was heavy with foreboding. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, its features illuminated by the fading light of the heart. It was a woman, her skin pale, her eyes sunken. She wore a flowing white robe, its hem torn and frayed. "You have meddled in affairs beyond your understanding," she declared, her voice dripping with venom. "You have awakened something that should have remained dormant." I raised my pistol, my finger tightening on the trigger. "Who are you?" I demanded. She smiled, her lips curling upward. "I am Arachne, the weaver of fates. And you, Alex, are a thread in the tapestry of destiny, one that I will soon cut short." Elara stepped forward, her eyes blazing with determination. "You won't harm him," she growled. Arachne's smile grew wider. "You are brave, Elara, but you are no match for the power I wield." Without warning, the air around Arachne seemed to thicken, solidifying into shadowy tendrils that snaked towards us. I knew that we had to act fast to outsmart this new foe. I grabbed Elara's hand and together, we sprinted towards the nearby rocks, seeking cover from Arachne's sinister magic. We knew that our next move would be crucial, that the fate of Aethereia hung precariously in the balance. As we dashed away from the heart, I felt the presence of the planet's awakening consciousness, urging us forward, guiding us through the coming storm. I knew that we had to trust each other, to trust ourselves, and to trust the power of hope that burned within us. For Aethereia, for our friends, and for our own future, we would not falter. We would face Arachne and we would prevail. Previously, Alex and Elara rebooted Aethereia's heart, shifting the planet's harmonics and igniting a beacon of hope. But their victory was short-lived, as a new threat emerged in the form of Arachne, the weaver of fates, who vowed to cut short Alex's thread in the tapestry of destiny. As we sprinted towards the rocks, the air grew thick with Arachne's magic, the shadowy tendrils snaking towards us like living vines. Elara's hand was a lifeline, a fierce determination burning in her eyes as we dodged and weaved, our footsteps echoing off the ancient stones. Behind us, the heart's pulse still thrummed, its energy coursing through me like a battle cry. We burst through a narrow crevice, the rocks shielding us from Arachne's deadly magic. Panting, we gazed out at the vast expanse of Aethereia's twisted landscape, the twisted spires of the Puppeteer's stronghold piercing the sky like jagged teeth. Dr. Orion's words echoed in my mind. The resonant frequency source lies within the ancient artifact, capable of rebooting Aethereia's dormant harmonics. Our quest had just gained a new urgency. We had to find that artifact, no matter the cost. Elara's eyes locked onto mine, the same fire burning within her. We knew what we had to do. We would face Arachne, outsmart her, and claim that artifact. "Alex, look," Elara whispered, her gaze fixed on a narrow gorge cutting through the twisted rock. "The ley line's power is strongest. It's our path forward." With a deep breath, we set off into the unknown, into the heart of Aethereia's darkness, driven by hope, fueled by our defiance and armed with our unbreakable bond. Previously, Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion narrowly escaped Arachne's deadly magic and discovered the ancient artifact's existence, capable of rebooting Aethereia's dormant harmonics, with the ley line's power guiding them forward. As we ventured deeper into the gorge, the air thickened with an eerie silence, and the rock walls seemed to vibrate with the ley line's energy. Every step felt like a countdown to destiny. Elara's hand brushed against mine, a gentle reassurance that we were in this together. Ahead, the gorge narrowed, the walls closing in like a vise, until we stumbled upon an ancient, cryptic entrance hidden behind a waterfall. The air pulsed with the artifact's energy, as if it awaited our arrival. With a deep breath, I pushed forward, my heart pounding in sync with the ley line's rhythm. The entrance led to a labyrinthine tunnel, lined with ancient runes, which Dr. Orion deciphered with an uncanny ease. As we navigated the twisting passages, the runes began to glow, revealing fragments of Aethereia's forgotten history. We learned of the Aethereian's harmony with the planet, and how the Puppeteer's dark influence corrupted the resonant frequency, plunging Aethereia into chaos. With each new revelation, the tunnel's walls seemed to close in, as if the ancient Aethereians themselves were warning us of the dangers ahead. I felt the weight of responsibility settling upon my shoulders, but Elara's unwavering trust in me and Dr. Orion's unshakable conviction in our quest fortified my resolve. As we delved deeper into the tunnel, we stumbled upon a hidden chamber where the artifact awaited. The room reverberated with the artifact's energy, an otherworldly resonance coursing through every cell of my body. I reached out, my hand hovering above its surface, as if drawn by an unseen force. Suddenly, visions burst forth, like shards of shattered glass. Aethereia's harmony, the Puppeteer's corruption, and the resonant frequencies' rebirth. I felt the artifact's power coursing through me, as if I had become the key to unlock Aethereia's true potential. With an unshakable conviction, I knew what I had to do. I gazed at Elara and Dr. Orion, their eyes reflecting the same determination. "It's time," I whispered, my voice barely audible above the artifact's hum. "We must harness the ley line's power. Reboot the resonant frequency, restore Aethereia's harmonics." The tunnel's walls seemed to respond as the ley line's energy coursed through me, illuminating a path of hope and igniting a beacon of defiance against the Puppeteer's grip on Aethereia. But in that moment, I knew that the true battle was far from over. Arakan's threat loomed, and the Puppeteer's dark influence still tainted the planet's heart. With the artifact's power coursing through me, I took a deep breath, gathering my companions close, and steeled myself for the trials ahead, knowing that the rebirth of Aethereia demanded our unyielding courage. An unshakable bond previously. Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion discovered the ancient artifact capable of rebooting Aethereia's dormant harmonics, guided by the ley line's power, and stood ready to face the challenges ahead. As they gazed upon the ancient chamber, the artifact's energy pulsed through Alex, imbuing him with an unshakable conviction. The darkness parted like a veil as Elara's eyes locked onto something behind me. I followed her gaze, and my heart skipped a beat as a procession of shadowy figures emerged from the tunnel's depths, their eyes aglow with an unnatural hunger. Arakan's minions had found us. The artifact's power surged through me, and I raised my hands, channeling the ley line's energy to meet the impending threat. "We're not going back," I declared, my voice resonating with conviction. Elara and Dr. Orion stood shoulder to shoulder with me, a united front against the encroaching darkness. As the minions closed in, their leader, a towering giant with skin like black marble, stepped forward, its voice like a crack of thunder. "You fools," it growled. "You think you can defy the Puppeteer's will? Well, crush your pitiful rebellion and snuff out the spark of hope you've ignited." The air crackled with energy as the minions charged. I raised my hands, and the artifact's power erupted in a blast of white light, repelling the initial assault. But the minions were relentless, and the battle raged on. Elara's agility and Dr. Orion's strategic mind proved invaluable as we fought to hold our ground. Yet with each passing moment, the odds grew steeper, and the darkness crept closer. Suddenly, Elara stumbled back, a look of horror on her face. I spun around, and my heart sank as I saw Dr. Orion crumple to the ground, his body contorted in an unnatural angle. The minions closed in, sensing victory. "No," I bellowed, summoning the artifact's power to fuel my rage. A blast of energy shot outward, knocking the shadowy figures off their feet. I rushed to Dr. Orion's side, Elara helping me lift him into a seated position. "Dr. Orion," I shouted, shaking him. His eyes flickered open, and a weak smile played on his lips. The artifact," he stammered. It's reacting to your presence. Alex, you're the key." His words trailed off, and his body slumped, leaving me staring at Elara in shock. We couldn't lose him, not now, not when we were so close to rebooting Aethereia's harmonics. With a deep breath, I stood up, my eyes locked onto the minions who had regrouped, sensing their advantage. My determination ignited a fire within Elara's eyes, and together we charged forward, the artifact's power coursing through me. For every minion we defeated, another took its place, but we fought on, driven by our determination to restore Aethereia's harmonics. In the heart of the chaos, I realized that our bond was the key to overcoming the darkness. As we battled on, the artifact's power resonating within me, I knew that our unity would forge a brighter future for Aethereia. Previously, Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion claimed the ancient artifact capable of rebooting Aethereia's harmonics, only to face Arakan's minions, who left Dr. Orion mortally wounded. As the darkness closed in, I felt the artifact's energy coursing through me like a river of fire, channeling my rage and determination into a blast of white light that repelled the minions, buying us precious seconds. Elara and I stood back to back, surrounded by the enemy, yet undeterred. We fought as one, our bond forged in the crucible of battle. But our unity was tested as the minions regrouped, sensing victory. A snarling, twisted mass of shadowy limbs lunged at us, threatening to crush our rebellion once and for all. In that heart-stopping moment, I knew I had to make a choice to save Elara or to risk everything to save Dr. Orion's life. With a heavy heart, I made the impossible decision. I called out to Elara, my voice hoarse from shouting orders. "Elara, get Dr. Orion to safety. I'll hold them off." Her eyes flashed with a deep understanding, and she sprinted towards Dr. Orion's limp form, scooping him up and making a desperate dash for the ancient chamber. I stood alone, the artifact's power coursing through me like a tidal wave. As the minions closed in, their leader, the towering giant, sneered at me with cold contempt. "You're no match for us, Alex. Your rebellion ends here." With a deep breath, I steeled myself for the final stand. The artifact's power surged through my veins, imbuing me with an unshakable conviction. I would not let Aethereia fall, not while I still breathed. As the minions charged, I unleashed the full fury of the artifact's power, channeling its energy into a blast of light that repelled the attack, buying Elara precious time to escape. The chamber began to shudder, the ancient walls trembling under the force of my will. But with each passing moment, the minions regrouped, their numbers seemingly endless. I fought on, fueled by my rage, determination, and growing desperation. I knew that if I fell, all hope for Aethereia would fade. In the midst of chaos, I saw Elara reappear, her eyes blazing with determination. She had saved Dr. Orion, but at what cost? Her hand grasped a small, intricately carved crystal pendant, imbued with the essence of the ley lines. "Alex, I found a way to amplify the artifact's power," she shouted, her voice barely audible over the din of battle. "We can reboot Aethereia's harmonics, but we need to get to the heart of the ancient chamber." The minions closed in, sensing victory. I knew the impossible decision I had to make once more, to risk everything for the chance to reboot Aethereia's harmonics, or to surrender to the darkness. With Elara by my side and the artifact's power coursing through me, I knew that our bond was the key to igniting a beacon of hope in the heart of the ancient chamber. And in that fleeting moment, I made the choice to risk everything, to defy the odds, and to forge a new path towards a brighter future for Aethereia. The darkness parted like a veil as I raised my hands, the artifact's energy surging through me. "Let's do it, Elara. Together, we'll reboot Aethereia's harmonics and shatter the Puppeteer's grip on Aethereia once and for all." As the final battle raged on, I knew that our unity would forge a brighter future for Aethereia, and our bond would ignite a beacon of hope that would guide us through the challenges and opportunities to come previously. Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion claimed the ancient artifact capable of rebooting Aethereia's harmonics, only to face Arachne's minions, who left Dr. Orion mortally wounded. Alex made the impossible decision to save Elara, and then to risk everything to save Dr. Orion's life, buying Elara precious time to escape with Dr. Orion. Elara returned, and together, they decided to risk everything to reboot Aethereia's harmonics. As we stood at the precipice, with the artifact's power coursing through us, the chamber began to shudder, and the ancient walls trembled under the force of our will. The air was alive with electricity, and the very fabric of reality seemed to bend to our determination. In a burst of light, we found ourselves at the heart of the ancient chamber, surrounded by an intricate network of ley lines. "Here," Elara exclaimed, her eyes shining with excitement. "This is where we can reboot Aethereia's harmonics." I felt the artifact's energy surging through me, and I raised my hands, channeling its power into the ley lines. The chamber began to hum, a low, vibrating frequency that resonated deep within my chest. The air seemed to charge with anticipation, as if the very fabric of reality was about to unfold. Suddenly, the walls of the chamber began to shimmer, and the outlines of ancient Aethereians materialized, their ethereal forms weaving a tapestry of sound and color. I felt the artifact's power coursing through me, and I knew that we were on the cusp of something momentous. "This is it," I whispered, my voice awestruck. "We're rebooting Aethereia's harmonics." As the chamber reached a crescendo of light and sound, I felt the artifact's power reach its zenith. Elara's hand grasped mine, and together we poured our hearts, souls, and determination into the reboot. The chamber erupted in a blinding flash of light, and I felt the artifact's power explode outwards, a tidal wave of energy that would reshape the very fabric of Aethereia. The ancient Aethereians disappeared, leaving behind only echoes of their presence. As the light faded, I blinked, my vision adjusting to the new reality. The chamber was quiet, the ley lines humming softly, and the air was alive with the sweet scent of rebirth. I looked at Elara, her eyes shining with tears of joy. "We did it," she whispered, her voice audible. "We rebooted Aethereia's harmonics." I smiled, my heart overflowing with a sense of pride, hope, and wonder. We had forged a new path, blazing a trail of light in the darkness. Aethereia was reborn, alive with possibility, and our bond had ignited a beacon of light in the heart of the ancient chamber. But as we stood victorious, bathed in the warm glow of our triumph, I knew that our journey was far from over. The Puppeteer's influence still lingered, and the shadows would continue to plot against us. I gazed at Elara, my eyes locked onto hers, and I knew that our bond would be tested, time and again. "We have a new beginning," I whispered, my voice barely audible over the hum of the ley lines. "But we also have a new challenge. Are you ready, Elara, to forge a brighter future for Aethereia?" Her eyes flashed with determination, and her hand grasped mine, the crystal pendant still clutched in her palm. "I'm ready, Alex. We'll face the challenges together as one." As we stood there, bathed in the warm glow of our triumph, I knew that our bond would forge a brighter future for Aethereia. And I knew that our journey would continue, fueled by our unity, determination, and the growing spark of hope that we had ignited previously. Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion claimed the ancient artifact capable of rebooting Aethereia's harmonics, only to face Arachne's minions, who left Dr. Orion mortally wounded. Alex made the impossible decision to save Elara, and then to risk everything to save Dr. Orion's life, buying Elara precious time to escape with Dr. Orion. Elara returned, and together they decided to risk everything to reboot Aethereia's harmonics. The reboot of Aethereia's harmonics sent ripples throughout the world. The air was electric with anticipation as the planet's dormant frequencies began to stir. Aethereia's landscape transformed before our eyes as the once barren terrain began to awaken, bursting forth with vibrant flora and fauna. The skies cleared, and a warm, golden light illuminated the entire planet. As we stood victorious, bathed in the warm glow of our triumph, I knew that our journey was far from over. We had to ensure that the Puppeteer's influence was eradicated and that the shadows would not plot against us. I gazed at Elara, my eyes locked onto hers, and I knew that our bond would be tested time and again. We set out to rebuild and restore Aethereia, using the artifact's power to revive the damaged ecosystems and revitalize the planet's core. We worked alongside the revived Aethereians, now freed from the Puppeteer's control, to rebuild their cities and restore their ancient wisdom. As we worked, we encountered pockets of resistance, remnants of the Puppeteer's dark legacy. We battled against these remnants, determined to snuff out the last embers of the dark force that had plagued Aethereia. With each victory, our bond grew, our unity and determination forging a brighter future for Aethereia. Dr. Orion, now fully recovered, joined us in our quest, bringing her vast knowledge and expertise to help us navigate the complexities of Aethereia's revived harmonics. Together, the three of us forged an unbreakable bond, one that would be the cornerstone of Aethereia's growth and progress. Months passed, and Aethereia flourished. The planet's landscapes transformed, becoming vibrant and thriving ecosystems. The Aethereians, now fully awakened, began to reclaim their heritage, rediscovering their ancient wisdom. As the planet's heart beat stronger, our own hearts swelled with pride, knowing we had brought hope and resilience to a planet on the brink of extinction. One day, as we stood on the precipice of a revitalized Aethereia, I gazed out at the breathtaking vista before us, and I knew that our journey was complete. We had forged a brighter future, not just for ourselves, but for the entire planet. As we stood, bathed in the golden light of our triumph, I looked at Elara, my eyes locked onto hers. I knew that our bond would continue to grow, a beacon of hope in the darkness, forever forging a brighter future for Aethereia.